Good morning, Xcellence family. Today is Title Tuesday, and I had the opportunity to catch up with Paul Sardon, our title attorney. Good morning, Paul. How are you today?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Getting into the holiday spirit,
Yes, came
the hustle
quick.
and bustle.
Yeah. This month is a blur.
It is. And,
Yeah.
and we do see a lot of things happening, a lot of clients wanting to close. I'm sure agents, you can see a lot of people wanting to get everything done probably before the last week
Right.
before Christmas, right?
Yeah, the advantage of closing in December as opposed to January is you can file for the homestead exemption for the next year. So there's usually a big push to close things before the end of the year. So yeah, this is a busy time.
Yeah, so everyone wants their ducks in a row.
Yep.
Speaking of that, you mentioned to me, Paul, that we've seen a lot of issues with, the buyer's escrow deposit, their earnest money deposit, with the market fluctuating. Can you share a little bit with our agents about how that works and what's going on?
Yeah. One of the things that we were discussing is, in this type of market, it's important to make sure the buyer's deposits are protected. And also, if you're on the listing side, the sellers have, realistic expectations. Because what we're starting to see is for many years, when a deal would cancel, seller would just sign the release because there was somebody right behind that buyer, maybe even willing to pay more money than that person was, and it was no big deal. Now that the market has tightened up a little bit and there's a smaller pool of qualified buyers, sellers are giving a harder time in a lot of cases to release the deposit. Sometimes they may be justified in doing that. Sometimes it's unreasonable and they're just frustrated because they're scared. And they're frustrated they took the property off the market for 20, 30 days, and now they're back to square one. They got to find another buyer, so they try to put that pressure. So the important thing is, when I've talked about this in other times, but as agents, when you're representing buyers, to make sure that you are following the timelines, and don't wait till the last day, and don't and relieve that stress of. When I talk about timelines, there's two big ones. There's three big ones. The first is the deposits. The escrow deposits have to be given within the time period given in the contract. So if the contract provides for the initial deposit to be given within 3 days of signing the contract, and you are turning it in on day 4, you're already in breach of that contract. So I am having sellers saying, "Oh, show me proof that the deposits were given on time." You may cancel because your loan is denied. You may get denied right away, and you have a 30-day, and in day 15, you say, "Hey, the loan got denied," but you gave the deposit a day late. You're losing that deposit, or the seller's making a claim on it. So that's the first one that's really important, because once you do that, you're in breach no matter what. And I've had that happen where somebody goes to cancel during I had one of last month where it was like a 7-day inspection period. And on day 6, the buyer decided to cancel because a lot of repairs were needed, and they had never given an escrow deposit. They were closing somewhere else, and they called me like, "Hey, this is a situation." And I'm like, "Okay, but you gave it." Like, "No, we never gave it because we were waiting until after the inspections." I'm like, "Well, your contract says you have to give it within 3 days. So then you breached your contract. You're gonna now you owe them that money." So that's the first one. The second one is that inspection period. Make sure that you have enough time to do your inspection and review your reports. And if you're not, if you're tight on time, especially now this time of year, it might be tough to get people out there. A lot of people on vacation, things like that. If you're coming up on a couple of days left in the inspection period and you're not comfortable, your buyer's not comfortable, they haven't gotten the report, ask for an extension. Say I need a day or two, and a justified extension that you're waiting on the report. If they say no, then your buyer will have to make a decision whether to cancel or not. And then the third one is the financing. The financing period is usually typically 30 days, sometimes more if you negotiate more. It's easy to lose track of the calendar, and you're doing all this
Yes,
stuff, and you don't realize, oh crap, it's day 31 and I haven't canceled,
yes.
and I'm still waiting for a reply. That's a problem, because then you get denied on day 32 and you want your deposit back, and you're not going to get it. So
And
those
to
are the
just
three things.
intervene,
Yeah.
in Tallahassee, we have a 15-day window for that financing
Right.
contingency. So that's a pretty tight window.
It's a tight window, so you can always ask for more when you're coming up, on day 10 or 12, and you see, they tell you, "Hey, we need another week or 2 weeks,"
Yeah.
and then you ask for that extension ahead of time. I don't
Yeah.
like to ask for, a lot of times people will call me, at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock today that, hey, today's the last day of the financing period. What do we do? They don't have the approval. I'm like, okay, well, we asked for an extension, but that kind of irritates the seller side because they're waiting for the approval and now you're asking for an extension. If you, a lot of times it's just communication. If you're speaking to the agent on the other side saying, this is what's going on, we're waiting on this, we're waiting on this, if we don't get it, we may need an extension, just preparing them. So it's not just coming out of left field at the last minute. Hey, I need another 15 days. And they feel like, all right, these people are not serious. And then the other thing, the other issue that we have now with financing is sellers, when they're getting I've had 2 sellers in the last probably 6 weeks who don't want to release the money, even though they canceled within their financing period. And the reason why is because they say that they didn't use diligent effort in applying for the financing. Meaning, as a buyer, you have to provide all the documents that your bank asks for. So if I'm applying for a loan and the bank says, hey, I need your tax returns, and I never give it to them, and my loan gets denied, then I haven't used diligent effort and I could still lose my deposit. So, you got to make sure that your buyers are providing the documents when requested and that everything is happening in an orderly fashion as far as that's concerned.
So in good faith, they've made whatever necessary.
Yeah, they provided documents, they made an effort, they didn't just pull their credit and give them initial stuff and not follow up. That does, and a lot of times sellers, what happens is when the sellers want to keep these deposits and they say that, then you have to prove, basically by email correspondence, by DocuSign, fax, however they delivered the documents, you have to prove, hey, yeah, look, we applied for the loan within the period provided in the contract, and we are, and this is what the way we're doing it, where we did it, everything we did was standard, and now we just didn't get approved for the financing. The sellers will say, they didn't use that diligence, and it becomes a problem. Yeah.
Well, now that you mentioned that, Xcellence Title makes it really easy for the buyer to make their earnest money deposit online at excellencetitle.com. It's the third tab over. You simply click on it.
Yeah.
You present your information, debit account, and within moments you get an instant receipt and an escrow letter within the hour. So we make it really easy.
Yeah, it saves a lot of people who wait till the last day.
Yes, and our buyers love it so much that sometimes they want to send the cash to close that way, and we have to tell them no, it has to be a wire transfer for cash to close. But it's just so easy to do, and it's up until 7 o'clock at night. So really, there's no reason that they couldn't make their earnest money deposit on time. Right. And when you touched on the financing, I thought of our Xcellence mortgage partners, and we go ahead and we actually put those tickler dates in there and remind your buyer, when they're 5 days out, to extend that financing contingency window to protect their deposit. So we're looking out for your client at all times and trying to just be ahead of those deadlines. Because as you said, it's very stressful when you have a buyer and seller disagreement, and then you've got these dates in the middle. And so we do try to help you stay on top of those dates. Yeah, make it easy.
And the other thing is we help with everything we can. A lot of times, even if you're not closing with us, we help. But the one thing that I tell everybody is if a seller wants to be unreasonable and not sign and release, there's unfortunately nothing stopping them. We can show them, look, this is the way it is. The contract says this, you're not going to get this money. But if they don't sign, we by law have to continue to hold the money. So it's frustrating as a buyer when you cancel and you did everything, by the contract. And I could tell you, hey, look, but they're not signing the release. So I have to hold the money. And if they continue, we have to then follow the process of the contract for dispute resolution. Typically, it doesn't get very far because, the prevailing party has to pay the other side's attorney's fees and all that. But I'm just seeing it a lot now with, people not wanting to let go. Basically, they had the deal, they had their heart set on it, and they're angry when the deal cancels. It's not the same attitude on the selling side as it was before, where it's just like, okay, on to the next one. Let's raise the price, that type of thing. Now it's, they're upset if the deal doesn't close, and they're trying to punish buyers for canceling, basically.
Wow. No, now that you bring that up, I think I want our agents to know that we're here to help them. You're always available to answer any legal questions, any contract issues like that. We do see a different market, whether it be on the mortgage side, special programs that have come out to help people still get into their homes at an affordable rate, or on the title side where we have this scenario where we don't have, 5 backup buyers. And like you said, tensions are tight, especially during the holidays. So we're here to help you, navigate through these scenarios. We are here to support you in any way that we can. Paul, thank you so much for your time, for always being there for us. I know that we call you sometimes in a panic with issues that come up, but you're always there to help us through them. And I think just knowing you can talk through these situations and have a right plan of attack to go back and navigate and finish your negotiation process. So we really appreciate your support and for you always being there for us.
All right. No, anytime. That's what we're here for.
Thank you so much. So I wish you all a great week. And please remember, I'm Agent Concierge here to help you. Our corporate line 305-595-7355. There's an option for mortgage, an option for title. And as always, we're here to help you with anything that comes up. Thank you so much, Paul. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye.